Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings, the living card game. I'm Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride. And today we are talking about Merry from the Black Riders Saga expansion. He is a 6 threat, 2 willpower, 0 attack, 1 defense, 2 hit points, hobbit character who has the passive ability that Merry gets +1 for each hobbit hero you control. And then a response after Merry participates in an attack that destroys an enemy, ready another character that participated in the attack. Now, David, I know you love hobbits, and I know you love low threat. I'll allow you to take it from here.
Oh, jeez. I really love Merry for who Merry is, based on his passive ability. I think that Merry has a lot of potential when you're running a Hobbit-only deck, or even if you're using him for the Saga expansions, that gives you +2 to your attack because he counts himself also. That's cool. But I'm probably not in love with Merry as much as you think I am, because I think as soon as you get outside of strict Hobbit decks or the Saga and Hobbit expansions, I think that he loses his luster. When I'm playing him in the Hobbit expansion or the Hobbit sets, his attack starts off at 4 because I have 3 Hobbit heroes. I have Pippin, Sam, and Merry, and then I have Bilbo, and so that makes his attack 4. So the one base attack is tough to wrap your head around. I mean, for 6 threat, you really can't go wrong with it, though. And so, in my own head, as I've been thinking about Merry, because ever since we put him in the queue, I've been thinking about Merry a lot, in terms of what kind of hero he is, really. And so I don't know. What do you think?
I like Merry as the fact of his ability allows you to ready another character that's participated in an attack. It's not.
It's really funny, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going to. Is that I very rarely use his response. That's something I actually hardly ever think about when I'm using Merry.
Say you've got like Bjorn out or Gandalf, and you've got say 2 or 3 powerful enemies, and you trigger say Bjorn's ability. That means you've got an 8 attacker that can hit once or twice, and if you've teamed Fast Hitch with Merry, you can get then another attack with him, and it's actually quite a powerful way of doing things. I mean, I've saw a deck that uses Merry and the tactics version of Aragorn just to completely clear the board. And I mean, yeah, you only get, if you're only running the one Hobbit, he's only got 1 attack. But if you think about pairing him with other heroes or other high-powered characters who can do a lot of damage, that ability is very nice to incorporate. He's definitely one of the ones that I've looked at using on OCTGN, building a deck with Merry. Even if I'm not running pure Hobbit, he's low cost for the tactics. So even hiring him in with, say, Doom here, and having just the access to the tactics sphere to give access to the spear of the mark, and say a couple of feints or something of the like, to just in case you've got nasty enemies coming down to attack you, is always nice.
And he's easily buffable. There's a lot of things, you can put the Dagger of Western East on him, and that's always where I like it. It's the gives you +2 if the threat is lower than the engagement cost. +1 otherwise, which is still pretty nice. You can Hobbit cloak him. I think that Sam and Merry kind of are really good. They play off of each other really well. Merry, I think, he does have, for a hobbit to have 2 willpower. I mean, that's not too shabby for a hero to have 2 willpower. And it's just the attack, but I love the fact that he's got that low threat. Like you said, you can put him into other decks, to help that, because his attack is misleading. Even though it says 0, it's actually 1 attack, which isn't, I guess, horrible, and you can buff it pretty easily. And so because you're starting with that such low threat there, maybe that is an option in a dung here. What do they call that? Like a dung here dink deck, where you dink off all the enemies in the staging area, or whatever.
Dung here duck shoot.
Oh, dung here, right? Dung here dunk shoot, right? That way, it's you're shooting the ducks off the pond there. I don't know. It's just not a thing that I have run with Merry, but that hobbit trait has been really well developed in recent expansions. They have a lot of hobbit, Raise the Shire, and which is awesome. It doesn't do anything for Merry. It just allows you to bring out a hobbit, and that's good. Like Farmer Maggot is a tactics. That's the thing, is that I think that the hobbit trait is something that has been really well developed lately, and I think that that's good. Even if you pair Merry with Rosie, Rosie really makes a hobbit deck, and so we've always joked around that Rosie and Sam and the fast hitch and all that stuff, but I think that you can bring Rosie out and give Merry the +2 to his attack or his defense. But I always use Merry as my attacker, and I use Sam as my defender. I just think that he's pretty good, especially in those in the Saga expansions.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you, and I think some of the key cards to work with Merry would be people like Rosie Cotton, Halfling Determination, Dagger of Westerness.
Oh, I think there's a Fierce Defense too, which allows you to do direct damage. Three damage to a non-unique enemy engaged, and then you get to discard a non-unique enemy if you've triggered the Valor. And that's always good. I like Halfling Determination. I'm glad that you brought that up. Yeah, because I think that Halfling Determination is also a really good card to play around with.
Yeah, and I mean, the Hobbit trait only really got expanded when they decided to do like the Black Riders and the Saga expansions, which, fair enough, you can do that. But we've seen Hobbit cards before, but there weren't much startling. I mean, you had Bilbo.
Right, lore Bilbo.
And then you had Frodo, which was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you didn't see much development of that up until they decided to do more Saga expansions. And that's where the Hobbits really came to shine. Now, I think instead of getting a buff for each Hobbit, they had to put it in for the heroes so that he didn't get overpowered in a Hobbit deck.
Well, that's what it is. It's each Hobbit hero you control.
Yeah, but I'm just theorizing that.
Oh, okay.
They probably started with for just each Hobbit you control. Well, for each Hobbit you control, you could have had Merry sitting in an attack of 7 or 8.
Oh, that would have been horrible. I mean, sorry, it would have been awesome, but it would have been horrible from the game point of view.
Yeah,
exactly. Where you have a Hobbit that can just smack down a troll. That just seems to be so anti-thematic.
Yeah, which is why they've put the limit on for just the heroes. Merry, although he's got 0 attack, it would be, if you'd given him 1 attack, you'd have a if you were running a Hobbit deck, you would have been having a 4 attack power without including the Saga buffs, like so Bilbo or Frodo. For one player, you'd be sitting at 5 attack with them. So
Mhm.
they had to knock his attack power down to 0. I mean, as you've said, 2 willpower for a Hobbit isn't bad. It's not. It's nothing compared to Sam, but it's not bad. The 1 defense, you're generally not going to be defending with Merry,
Right.
because if you're running a Hobbit deck, you're going to be wanting them to go and smash enemies rather than take hits.
Right. And there's a lot of things that help you defend. They have Hobbit sense. For 2 cost, you get to not attack or defend or do anything for it. Like pretty much skips over the attack phase. You have In the Shadows, which helps you do that stuff as well. So there's a lot of cards that help the defense thematically because of kind of the small stature that the hobbits have. So there's a lot of neat little cards there.
Yeah, and you've also got Frodo's intuition if you're playing like the actual Saga expansions, which allows you to gives +1 willpower to each hero you control, and then you get a draw card for each Hobbit hero,
Right.
which is also a very nice little effect if you're
Real
running a
nice.
Hobbit deck.
Yeah, it's real nice. I was one of the cards that just came out is Magic Ring. Came out in the latest adventure pack, the Crossings of Poros. And so I put one of the. You can only have one in your deck, but I put one of them in there so I could have it on Mary, because you're allowed to. It's like a fast hitch, except you have to raise your threat by 1. But you can also then you can ready or you can get a resource. Then there's one other ability that it has, but the point is that it's a fast hitch with a little extra, and to put that on Mary helps out a ton.
Yeah, it does. And as you said, the Magic Ring you can only have one of in your deck.
One of the cards that I know not to use with hobbits is the Free Peoples. I don't know if you noticed, but all the Hobbit heroes, except for maybe the Saga expansion Hobbit heroes, Frodo and Bilbo, they only have the character trait Hobbit. And so the Free Peoples, you need 9 different traits out. And so I put in the Free Peoples as a way to get more cards, and I realized that I couldn't use it with the with my Hobbit deck because there was just not enough. I didn't have enough variety in traits in order to use it.
Well, I suppose you could, because it is the Free Peoples just from your heroes, or does it include allies?
It includes allies too, but if you're running a Hobbit deck, a lot of those Hobbit allies don't have a lot of traits either. But
I'm just thinking if you're just running, like, say, 3 Hobbit heroes, and then you just tie in, say, Firial and Southron Refugee, Rider of the Mark.
Yeah, you can get it, but it comes to the like shenanigans part where you have to have like 5 different cards out before you can actually play it, and it costs 5 to play. That's to me that's too much.
Expensive,
yeah, and then for something that isn't inherently easy to do in a Hobbit deck.
Yeah. So, do you want to ring Mary?
Yeah, we better ring this guy. So,
Okay.
on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the best card in the deck and 10 is the worst card I've ever seen, I think Mary, I think, gets a 2. I think he is strong and can be buffed, and he buffs himself, and he's got a really good, a really good ability. The only thing that I don't like about him is I think he has to stay in a Hobbit deck, and so that's where, because he's not good in any. I mean, he's okay, and he's got that low threat, so that's why he stays at a 2. But if there was some way you could have him be better in more in more types of decks other than just Hobbit decks, I think I would be, I'd pull the trigger on a 1 with Mary too. How about you?
Well, because I haven't used them in actual play format, um, I'm going to give them a 5 because, as you say, he may not suit being outside a Hobbit deck, but time will tell. And until I can get a fully working way around that, I'm just going to sit nice in the middle.
So join us for our 25th episode next time as myself interviews my co-host Grant in a special episode where we talk about some of his likes, dislikes. Maybe we revisit some of the cards that we've done. Maybe we talked about some of the things he loves about the game, some of the things that he would want to change about the game, and maybe, even just maybe, I'll have a couple of surprise questions for our wonderful host, Grant Thompson.
Well, like I say, I'm just along for the ride, so why don't you join me and find out what David's got planned for next time?